A warrior or a loser. You could choose to either be a warrior or a loser. That's how I had it described to me in a book that I'm currently reading called Pure and Simple. And it's about the teachings of a Buddhist meditator. Her name is Upasaka Lee. It's really a fantastic book for anybody who likes reading these type of books. There's so many books on how to when it comes to meditation, but I don't see as many books that follow the life and story of the people who really influence others to meditate and to look at the totality of their lives, not just their practice. Because, of course, like we say, their practice is just one element. Their practice is how they train, their life is how they live through that practice. So to see things more holistically and to follow these people is something that I always find very interesting. And she, from what I've read in this book, is a very remarkable figure. What I can say with all certainty is that the lessons in the book are very powerful. So, if nothing else, I definitely suggest it for that. And she speaks a lot about how you can use mindfulness to really combat all of our bad habits, all of our bad decisions, because everything is initiated by thought before we eat something that's going to go against our diet, before we take an action that's going to be bad for us, there's going to be consequences for it. It's all initiated with thought. And if we could learn to be as mindful and attentive as possible, then we'll be able to catch in real time these moments when these thoughts are coming to distract us from our path and to know what to do to combat it. And it's very difficult. And it gets to the point where she essentially says that when it comes to this battle of purifying our minds from these distractions, you are either a warrior or a loser. And that struck me at first because with a lot of meditation books, the language can be very over the top, right? You don't usually hear things be this direct. And when you hear warrior or loser, you could even think that there's some form of judgment in those words, especially when you're hearing the word loser. But as I continued reading, and I continued to reflect on it, I actually thought that these were very accurate descriptions. At least for me, I found it to be something that is empowering to me. I'm somebody who grew up playing a lot of sports. I grew up with my parents being extremely direct with me. I grew up doing martial arts. So I'm very used to a tough and direct message. And those are the type of things that always resonate with me. And essentially, what she's saying is in two parts. In regards to being a warrior, it takes this level of dedication. It takes this level of being attentive. It takes this level of being active and somewhat war ready when it comes to going against these thoughts and distractions that deviate us from our path. That you're going to have to think about, am I going to stand up to this? Am I going to fight this? Or am I just going to go with the flow? It's just like what they say about people who are always wanting to start that new diet on Monday, right? Every week you try to start something new. Then the weekend comes and you don't eat as well as you would have liked, or you never began your workout. And then you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to start on Monday. And as soon as Monday starts, you get off to a decent start. And then the thoughts come in. That pizza sounds really good. That cake sounds really good. Why go to the gym when you could just sleep in and chill? It's too far, it's too cold, it's too hot. All of these things start coming at you very quickly. Your mind immediately starts playing the role of the antagonist and the role of that, voice that wants to tell you to do everything that's against what you're actually trying to do, what you're actually trying to accomplish. And we have to be warriors to combat that and stand up to it and say, no, this isn't going to happen. This is just a thought. This is something that's going to come and go. I'm not going to attach myself to you and go down that path of, sure, why not? This time I'll try it. Because once you do it, the mind is going to know how to approach you to make you deviate. The mind is just so intelligent when it comes to finding out all of our weaknesses. So, yeah, we do have to be somewhat warrior like and soldier like to make sure that we are constantly combating these type of things. So, that's what they're saying when they say warrior. And essentially, when she's saying loser, this isn't a statement of judgment. This isn't to say, hey, you're a loser. What it is it's very practical and it's very factual. No matter how we try to slice it, if you're looking at people who are competing in a sport, one person is going to win and then you're going to have the losing team. You can't dress it up and say these are the non-winners or however it is that you want to do it. There's so many cliche, what do they say, participation trophies and all of these type of things. You win in this competition or you lose in this competition. When the mind is giving you alternatives that go against what it is that you're trying to do, what you think is going to be best for you, how you're going to find a sense of peace and calm in your day to day activities and your day to day interactions, we are going to constantly be being placed at a fork in the road where we could go in a direction that's going to serve us or we could go in a direction that is going to be a disservice to us. And so we're constantly in this position where we could choose the path of the warrior, or we can lose that battle and we could cave into the mindset and we could cave into the thinking and we could constantly do something that's going to harm us in the long run. And until you learn it, you could always potentially be a victim of this. When you look at people who are drug addicts and they are constantly trying to stop. And listen, this isn't me judging anybody's journey either because I know what it's like to use drugs. I know a lot of people around me who have used drugs. I know people who have been hooked and were hooked essentially for their entire lives. I know several friends who have died from it. So there's always different levels to it. And I never judge anybody who's further along down the road because I don't know their past. I don't know their triggers. But I do know that just like everybody else, especially speaking for myself, everything started in the mind. Everything started with it sounding like pleasure, everything coming off as desire and temptation. And if we don't learn to stand up to that, either by just saying no, distracting ourselves, having the knowledge to know that this is just a thought. And as soon as we let it pass without judgment, without saying, hey, maybe I do want that. Why would I think that? Well, we can learn to just let that flow in and out of our consciousness and move on to the next thing. Until we get to that point, it's very difficult to start battling because it's going to just take over all of your imagination and all of your problems are going to be on the other end of whatever it is that you're craving. So you have to have a warrior mindset for it to keep yourself alive. In the gym, I would meet people who would come in and it was part of our conversations to say, why is it that you want to work out? And I would hear so many people come in after having a visit with the doctor and the doctor essentially telling them, if you don't start working out, you're on the verge of getting diabetes or you're on the verge of being morbidly obese. And when you're morbidly obese, this is correlated to so many other different diseases. And we have to find a way to prevent this now with healthy eating and exercise. So people know this and they know that their life is on the line. And yet, still, every single day, they're having to make that choice between losing the battle or keeping the warrior mindset because they're being told, hey, today isn't the day that I want to work out. Today is not the day that I want to eat healthy. And unfortunately, I see so many people who essentially would lose that battle. They would give into that thought process. They would be overly attached as to why they're thinking and feeling this way. And it takes a high level of attention. It's more than just thought. As she put in the book, it's an awareness of the thought, the feeling, the sensations in your body, the mood, the environment. We need to be hyper aware of everything that's going on in every moment. That way, when these thoughts come, we can learn what could potentially be causing these things to happen and how can we prevent it moving forward. This is when I hear mindfulness pretty much as a substitute of acute awareness. To me, mindfulness has a pretty broad definition, but essentially what it comes down to is being acutely aware. Generally speaking, it tends to be on this present moment, who we're speaking to, what we're doing, these type of things, what's going on in our body, if we're doing a body scan, things like that. But in cases like this, it's understanding everything in its totality to see how it's contributing to what type of thinking we're having and seeing how we could prevent that moving forward while at the same time practicing compassion and non-judgment for what's actually happening in our minds. So I thought it was a great lesson learned. Like I said, it stood out to me because you just don't hear a lot of times this, I feel like it's very strong verbiage, being a warrior, not being a loser. And, this doesn't resonate with everybody, but it resonates with me. You could choose the warrior path or you can lose, but just be aware and know that you have that option. That's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.